Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And hey, this is Ying, and we are at 3 o'clock sharp on Tuesday. Remember, 3 o'clock Tuesday, Saturday is always my webinar time. We're giving answers to the most often asked questions in the week. So we have a lot of questions coming around our small business owners. And there's more people getting sick from COVID, am I right? So you have seen more people, and even myself, I already got COVID. So there's a lot of COVID going on. One employee got sick with COVID, and they want to know what kind of benefit there is, because at one time there was paid COVID leave, right? And even my kids got sick, I could take a paid COVID leave. So I want to talk about that and give some update. So we all know what we're facing. One employee is asking for COVID sick leave benefit. So let's get going with our prepared presentation, and I will share screen to the side. All right. So what we have here, it is our website, and you can tell that on our website, we have this section called upcoming webinars. This is where we are giving you what we talk about. So let's say today, this is COVID sick leave update. So we can update that. And then on Saturday coming, and we typically will give you a Saturday talk right here and to show you what we have in the topic. And I know Kat didn't listed that, and I'm pretty sure he's still working on getting it ready. Related to our webinar, if you are unable to come in at 3 p.m., it's such a weird time, right? It is right in the middle of the day. Who is going to know when it's 3 p.m.? You're probably busy with something and carried away and you don't know the time, but you can come over here. This is our website. This is our YouTube channel, folks, right here. And you can type in the youtube.com. If you type Community CPA channel, it will bring you up right here. You can see that you can press the describe button and subscribe button. So you can subscribe to our videos, and on the videos you can tell, and you literally can do search on our videos, any topic you want. If you're just thinking, oh, I want to see all the ERC topics that you guys talked about, you type into ERC right here on the magnified classes ERC, and you click enter. All of the ERC webinars are coming up. So of course, I would not recommend you to go down to the bottom to look at them, because they are kind of listed by date. But in fact, on my screen, it's actually listed by the popularities, like which video was viewed the most. So not necessarily the earliest, the newest. See, this one was 17,000 viewers. So that's why it listed. This is a 3 months ago a webinar I did. And a lot of people really like this webinar because they kind of like the details we give in. So, just come over here. You have to do it yourself. Apply ERC. We literally give you the spreadsheet. This is 23,000 view 1 year ago. So, all right. And now let's dive into our webinar today. Today, we're talking about COVID sick leave. And do we have a COVID sick leave when we get COVID? And what employee are supposed to do for the employee? And let's just talk about what's the requirement. Prior to every me, and because you're new, and I know some of you are new, and this is the first time you see me here, and you probably just stumbling through your Facebook and see us streaming, or you actually, coming into my webinar, and I didn't get a chance to look at the attendees today, but I myself, my name is Ying Sa, and I am the founder of Community CPA. We started this firm back in 1998. Sound like a long time ago, right? Yeah, time does fly. And I serve on the National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel. This is a federally appointed committee, and providing advices to IRS is a grassroots effort IRS is giving to the public, and IRS desire to become a agency that can effectively supporting taxpayer. I also have this book on Amazon, and I hear people from time to time, I hear people saying that, oh, I read your book and I'm calling you, I have this question. And I just had one reader and they emailed me and saying that I read your book and I'm forming a partnership. I have additional questions because we have a chapter in there talking about partnership. So this is the book I wrote in 2019, still very valid. And some of the examples of the famous people may not be valid anymore because some of them just becoming just so not worth to be in my book. But at that time, they were still good. So, and also, I want to make sure that you know when you hear the webinar content and you take responsibilities, because we are here providing free knowledge to you and there is no service agreement. So Community CPA are not taking responsibilities of the content. Although we are a reputable firm, we do everything to our best as we know the best, right? All right. So let's just briefly talk about COVID sick leave. I want you to kind of understand this whole sick leave, COVID leave is covered by the government and you should give that to employee for free. This is coming through back in 2020. It is called a Family First Coronavirus Response Act. This one established this Family First Coronavirus Responsible Act, pushed out a Family First Family Sick Leave Act that basically tell the employer, go ahead, give that for free to your employee and pay them as if they worked for you, normal, 80 hours, 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if they are sick or their kids sick, you just give to them. And then you can claim it back from the government. So that's pretty much what the government was doing back in 2020. This thing did, and to be effective all the way to December 31st, 2020. So in the year of 2020, if any one of the employees were sick or their family member were sick and you took time off, and if the employer don't pay you, and that's not appropriate because they could get the credit back from the government. So the government pushed out this Medical Leave Act for the employer to follow. So this is the requirement. The employers who choose to provide such a leave between January 2021 to September 2021 may be eligible for employer tax credit. This is where it says that then you know that the ERC comes in and the size of an employer, if you're a larger size of an employer and you actually needed to provide this family leave, you need to follow this act, then you will continue getting the credit, right? So these are all the things that the government is doing via the tool of employer. The government is also doing that via the tool of unemployment insurance agency of each state. So in Iowa is workforce, right? So they give money to the agency and the agency will pay you when you go on for unemployment benefit claim due to COVID sickness. So small employers are not qualified, are not required to give any of the COVID sick leave credit, to give employee free sick leave. But they can go to unemployment insurance, which is the state agency, to apply for the money, and the state would give that. So those are the credit. The government, the federal government money is flowing through your 941 tax forms on your business tax return. You remember that one, right? It's a quarterly 941. It's flowing there. And it also goes to the unemployment insurance, the workforce, where when your employee was sick, they can go to apply for that. So these are what happened in 2020 for sure, and the 2021 for most of the time. But small employer have less than 100 employees, you are not required to provide that in the year of 2021. Okay. And here I listed it out, the credit that they would be getting in calculation. So the maximum is 511 per day for the employee, and no more than 5,110 in total for the whole 280 hours that they were giving for credit. And let's just talk about what happened for 2022, right? So we covered 2021, then you have the act enacted, and so you got the government credit, so you give that COVID payment, COVID payroll to the employee. And in 2021, and there's no more mandatory ones for smaller employer and only for the large employer. And even for small employer, you actually have other credit to claim. And for example, earned employer retention credit. So you can claim that, or your sick employee to workforce to apply for unemployment insurance using COVID sickness as a reason to apply. So they still get some help from the government, even though it's not required the small employer to do it. And in California, though, in 2022, they still have something going on all the way to the end of September. So it's not even done yet. And that is the qualified employer needed to provide the sick leave. So who qualifies for that? And there is a qualified employer if you have more than 26 employees, and if your employee cannot work remotely, and also the immigration status is not going to be affecting the eligibility of this supplemental paid sick leave. So there is a supplemental paid sick leave, and if you have H-1 visa, L-1 visa, if you have this kind of LTN visa, this kind of work visa, and normally those work visa you apply for unemployment benefit. So what it says that it is actually doesn't matter. So whatever the visa you have, but you must have a work visa, right? They're not talking about people with IT and cannot work will get that. No, they're talking about people with a work visa. Okay, and the leave taking applies retroactively to the beginning of 2022 because this law, this thing was announced, signed into law on February the 9th, 2022. Because at the end of 2021, looks like there's no more COVID thing anymore, but the governor in California announced this supplemental paid sick leave thing for Californians, and that was announced in February the 9th. So imagine from January to February the 9th, if you didn't really get paid, you can retroactively getting it. So that's what it says. All right. So with that, so you know, if you are an employer in California and you still have this supplemental pay, and you are still, if your employee is sick with COVID, you have more than 26 people under your belt, and you're still needing to give that assistance. All right. So this is where the COVID is still effective in California, but not in Minnesota, Iowa. So Iowa, for the COVID assistance, and the state announced to end the pandemic unemployment benefit program for COVID affected person. So if you are sick with COVID, you go for unemployment benefit, you don't have that anymore after June, effective on June 12. Okay. And also effectively after they will, the Iowa workforce, when an employee come to apply for unemployment benefit, even though they say, yeah, I'm sick with COVID, the employer is still going to be charged. In the past, employer will not be affected because this is the federal government give money, and so they are covered somewhere else, but now they are not. So this is where the their official, this is what I call official benefit ends on June 12, 2020, on June 12, 2021 for Iowa. So we haven't really even seen anything related to COVID in 2022. It's all gone, it's all done. And same thing with Minnesota. So I just want to make sure that we are clear. And if you are employer of our Iowa and Minnesota state, and that policy, whether you get paid or not, is 100% relying on your employer, okay? And as a small business owner, you can decide. You can say, yes, I pay you. You can say, no, I don't want to pay you. It is all properly, legally allowed. And there is nothing against the rules because those rules are already water under the bridge. They are gone, right? But for California, it's not the same. So they still have that benefit going on till the end of September. So it looks like after that, everything will go back to normal. So this particular webinar, I just want to clear the air for all of our small business owners in case you're still wondering, when your employee come around wanting to ask for COVID time off and says that I should get paid, and you know better. And you know that, no, in 2022, this is not the case anymore. And if you have vacations, use your vacations. If you have sick leave, use your sick leave. But there is no more benefit for me to pay you and I get paid by the government. No such a thing anymore. And it is really become purely and the benefit your employer and the employee and who offers whom of what benefit. All right, I hope that ends our today's talk related to COVID sick leave, and have a great rest of the afternoon. I'll see you on Saturday. Bye-bye.